Okay, so for the first part of our washing machine explosion box, we're going to need, and this is going to be for your top portion. I know this is a little bit different than how you would normally make an explosion box. This one is 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chipboard squares, okay? And then you're going to want to use a circle die, and I used the Spellbinder's Nestability circle die, or if you have a large circle punch. Let me see how many inches this little punch is. It's about 3 1/4, so probably a 3-inch would work just as well. So this is going to be the little window for our washer, and this little box is going to open up a little bit differently than how your normal explosion box would open. But, so let me tell you, you have 5 of those, right? And then you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chipboard pieces at 4 by 4 inches, okay? That is going to be for the actual explosion part of your box. This is just the lid. So we will go ahead and get started. I went ahead and cut some 1-inch strips, and I don't even care that they're kind of rough here. All you want to do is make sure that your, what they call quote unquote shit strips, are 1 inches by 4 1/8 for this portion of the box. And I just made enough to go ahead and cover my edges to put them together. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Oh, and I did score them at a 1/2 inch, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and get my pieces prepared. So they're not going to see that rough edge. It just depends. You want to make sure you just use the color, whatever your washer is going to be. And this one is kind of like a light gray, so I picked a neutral color. So I'm going to go ahead and fold all of those over. And then I'm going to go ahead and start, oops, 4 of them you're going to need a little bit shorter on one side. Let's go ahead and on 4 of those you're going to take off I'm going to say 1/4 of an inch. So I apologize for that. 1. Because you don't want it in the way of your washer window. And you can use whatever you want, like a photo or whatever you want for the center of that. Okay, sorry about that. I got them almost done here. Probably going to need several more, but just as long as they're 1 inch by 4 1/8 for this first part, you're good. Okay. Sorry, I want to cut off some of these rough edges so that my paper, I shouldn't have used this cutter. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing my pieces on here. And right now I'm just going to start off with the top. I'm just going to line that up and go ahead and fold it over. Wipe off any excess glue and burnish it in. I'm just going to do that on all sides. And instead of you watching me do all of this, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video at this point And then we'll go on to the next step, because I know y'all don't want to be watching me put all of these on here, because that's kind of boring. Okay, so for my next step, I'm going to go ahead and add on my 4 1/8 inch by 4 1/8 inch squares. And I'm just leaving a tiny little gap, okay? Just enough so that it can fold over, okay? Now I'll show you with this one, and then I'll just continue on with the other two. Whoops. Okay, so at this point, I want to go ahead and seal my box closed. So I'm actually going to take off a tiny little hair, about a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my glue ready. And I'm going to start closing my lid. Now this does not need to open, you know, at all. So this is not the waterfall part. This is just your lid. So this can be closed all the way. I'm just going to hold it for a second. And go ahead and start smoothing this down. Again, wipe off any excess glue. And I'll just continue on until I'm done with all 4 corners again. Oops, let me take off that little hair. I don't want to forget that. This one is slightly a little bit longer. Let me make sure. No worries. I can go ahead and cut that off right now. Hopefully it will not mess it up. Well, maybe I can't. Maybe I'll just have to do it by hand, which I hate doing that. But since it's so skinny, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Okay. And then just continue on, and then I'll be back with the next part. Okay, so then we have basically our inside is done. Now all we have to do is do 4 more strips on the outside. This is just making your lid extra super secure, okay? And also, if you want to paper your inside of your box, you're going to do your squares at 4 by 4, okay? I'm not doing this part just yet. But what I'm going to do is I will do these 4, but make sure you use really thin paper, and plain cardstock is fine. It's not like they're going to really take a look at the lid. You're going to be decorating more like the outside, and then of course your waterfall. So let me go ahead and put those on, and then you're going to make some more strips that are going to be 1 inch by 4 inches to do these little bottom here. So you're going to need 4. Okay, and I'll be right back. I wanted to state that I went ahead and made 4 more strips to go on the bottom of here, just so that it looks more uniform. So I hope that makes sense, and then I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so this is not an exact science here, but I cut 4 squares at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, and I've been having to, like, you know, cut off little bits like a 1/16 of an inch And even this is less than that because of the fact with the paper in here, it's kind of made it where it's not exact. So you just kind of gotta, oops, lordy, now I just messed that one up, huh? Okay, so, you know, it's not an exact science here, so just kind of gotta work with it. And that's what I've been doing here. Like this one actually fits better than the other one. So, you know, it it is what it is. So just kind of work with that, and then I will be right back. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I would have done 4x4, but I wanted to have this completely covered all the way on the inside. So in other words, I didn't want to have a border. But on the outside, I will have a border. Okay, so for our little washer window, we're going to need a piece of chipboard that is 4x4, and of course a piece of cardstock that's 4x4 that matches the inside. And then on this piece, I'm going to do a decorative piece. Um, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue this on here. And since I have not decided what I'm going to use for my decorative piece yet, I will put this to the side and go ahead and start working on my box here, my waterfall. So, or my exploding box, however, whatever you want to call it. So now I'm going to need 4 strips that are 4 inches by 1 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and prepare those now, and then I'll be right back. These 4-inch by 1-inch strips at a 1/2 inch. Again, and this is basically going to be the same as what I did before. Let me go this way. And I'm going to go ahead and glue them on with my art glitter glue. Again, this is available in Tamara's store for those of you that don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and put my first pieces on the same way I did it before. I really want to keep it uniform, and so I'm just going to stick with what I've been doing. Okay, so now I can go ahead and start gluing on all the rest of the edges, which is what I'm going to do. Again, leaving that tiny, tiny little gap there. And then I'll come back when I'm all done with that, and you should be able to have a waterfall now at this point. Okay, so earlier I said that you should have 5 squares at 4x4. I tried that, and because I had added the paper in there, it just didn't fit. So we're going to need 5 of them at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, and then you're going to need 4 strips of your cardstock that you want, whatever color you want, at 1 inch by 3 7/8. And again, we're going to do the bottom much like we did the top, exactly the same, where I'm going to put my strips here, you know, right on these 4 corners right here. So, and then we'll have our waterfall box. So I'll be back in just a minute. Let me go ahead and, well, actually, I can just go ahead and fold this over now, kind of show you. Let me go ahead and get that going right now. So I've only got glue on one side right now because I want to get all my 4 sides on first. And then I'll attach the other 4 ends there. And my last strip. And then now I can just do the same thing that I did before, where I leave a little gap so that you can go ahead and fold it up without any issues. And I'm just going to do all the 4 corners. And I'll just keep going, and then I'll be back with the next step. Okay, so hopefully you all can see this. I put some of these sticky thumb adhesive foam dots. These are from American Crafts at Hobby Lobby. I used my coupon, so I got 40% off, $3.99. I use the larger ones, but you know, you can use whatever size you want. You may possibly even be able to double this up. So what I did was, and I don't want to take the sticky part off until I'm ready to put whatever I want to put in here. But it's going to go something like this. So you're going to have like a little shaker window. In fact, I think I may even add 2. Let me see if that will work real quick. Let me just, for giggles, let's just see if this is going to work. I just want to make sure that the box is going to fit in there nicely, and I think it will, but you never know until you do it. I'm just going to add, hopefully I'm not wasting foam dots. That will really be a stinky poo. Okay. Oops. Anyway, well, hopefully that'll work. Okay. So now that should give me a really good shaker window. Yep, it's perfect. So you can literally use 2 of these and turn this into a shaker. Okay, and you would have to seal it all the way around though to make it a shaker. I might just use mine, like use a little thin piece of plexiglass or acrylic and make it just like a washer window. But basically, I know this is kind of strange. So I want my window of my washer to be on the front. And so you're literally going to have to turn your washer upwards in order to open it this way. So hopefully that makes sense. But you could have it on the top if you want to. But then you won't need to do the next step. But I'll be back. Okay, for this next step, you're going to need 4 pieces of chipboard at 4 1/8 inches by 1 inch. And then you'll need 2 of them at 1 inch by 1 1/8, okay? Then you will need 4 strips at 1 inch by 4 1/8 and then scored at 1/2. Okay, you'll need 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. I have an extra one for some odd reason. And then you're going to need 2 at 3 1/2, and you're going to score it at 1 1/8 and then flip it around again and score it at 1 1/8. At this point, you can go ahead and glue your little chipboard pieces on here after you've folded on the score lines, okay, and then set them aside to dry. And then much like putting the other boxes together, which I don't know why I didn't, let me go ahead and score these at 1/2 inch. Whoops. So much for me holding on to my stuff, huh? Sorry, I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way. Oh, goodness. Okay. Then again, I'm just going to fold them over on those score lines. And this is going to be the little top part of the washer that has your little washer buttons on it. So you'll just go ahead and start gluing those on there. Go ahead and add that one in there. Burnish it in at the top. Make sure it's all in there. And then go ahead and add my piece. Then I'll just keep on adding the strips and piecing it together. And I'm going to move it out just a little bit because I should have done it a little bit differently, but I didn't. I should have put the other side on first before I put that bottom piece down, but that's okay. You can always keep working. Again, I'm going to make sure that I leave that space to fold it over before I burnish it in. Same thing on this side. And I just don't let that piece dry up, so I need to add a little more. Wipe up my glue mess here. One more. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing right here. And then I have my final strip. And you can make another piece that goes right over here. I'm not going to because this will be my bottom. So that's completely up to you. And then now I have my piece that's going to go on top of my washer like so. So I think it's looking pretty cute. I'll be back with the rest of the tutorial in a minute. Thanks. Okay, so we're coming along with our little box here. So you should have your pieces that look something like this. This is your 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 inch little box here, your little waterfall. And then of course you have your top of your washing machine, which is your box cover. So I kind of made a boo-boo earlier and I cut my paper to 4 inches and I really wanted my color paper to be 4 1/8 and 4 1/8. but I end up liking how this kind of ended up. So more or less this is layering. So I have these, the blue at 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then I actually have my colored cardstock, my patterned cardstock, shall I say, at 4 by 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to cover over my edges here. Let me just double check that that is a 4 by 4. Looks a little smaller than that for some reason. How weird is that? Let me go ahead and check this one. Yeah. Still doesn't. I don't think I can trust my cutter. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish papering all my little sides here. So 5 sides. And then I'll be back. And of course, I use my die cut for to match this up. So I'll just continue on and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're at the top of our washer part, and I kind of went ahead of myself. Again, you're going to do the same measurements at 1 1/8 inches wide by 4 1/8 inches long, and you're going to do that on 3 sides, and then you're going to do 1 inch by 1 1/8 inch on 2 sides, and then the bottom you can leave blank because you're just going to glue this down to your lid. So now your washer is going to look something like that. And I think it's turning out so cute. So I'm going to go ahead and use my art glitter glue. Whatever adhesive you want to use. And I'm going to go ahead and lay this right on top, and I'm going to butt it up to the back of the box. Okay? And I'm going to hold this here with both my hands for a second. Looks like I got some glue there. Okay, so I'm just going to hold this until it looks like it's adhered real well. And now look at it, so stinking cute. I'm loving this. Okay, so now I'm going to work on my little buttons and stuff. I'm also going to work on the inside here. And what I'm thinking is basically I could just line this up. How do I do this? Okay. So it'd be something like it just depends on what pattern you want to have on the inside. And I'm thinking I might go ahead and do the blue again because, you know, water's blue, or however you want to do it. You can make it look like there's water washing in there just by layering your chipboard. So I'm just going to make sure this is perfect. So I'm actually going to use my pencil and draw it on here and then cut it. I'll glue it on there. And so now it's kind of up to you how you want your inside of your washer to be, whether you want to use a photo or whatever you want to do. Okay. So I'm just going to glue this on here. You have a bubble stamp, that would be really cute to make it look like it's bubbling up in there. I mean, literally you could do anything. So I'm going to try to figure that out. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and ink edge my corners on all of these inside and out. And then your paper for this one will be exactly the same measurement, 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. So you're going to need 8, 10 of those. So you can cover 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay. And again, if you want to do your bottom just a solid color, you could do that too. That's probably what I'm going to do just to, you know, match it up. Be matchy matchy. So anyway, I will be back. Okay, so we are moving right along with our tutorial. So I went ahead and I did my back, you know, similar to how I did these, except that this is smaller. So I did my blue at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 because that is the size of these squares. And then I went in 1/8 of an inch at 3 and I think it's 3 and 3 3/4. It doesn't seem right. I think I might have done 3 7/8 and 3 7/8 and took off a 1/16 of an inch. Nope, it is. It's 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So we're just moving along with the tutorial. I'm on my second day now, so sorry if I seem a little scatterbrained. But anyway, I went ahead and I used some of my chipboards from the I went ahead and added a little broom and I just used some pop dots. I used a piece of the same cardstock, put it in a triangle, and then glued it on here, and then I just did some pop dots for this piece, as you can see. So right now I think it's looking really cute. Oh, and for the handle, I just took a really thin strip of chipboard, about 1/4 of an inch, and then I took some of my extra paper that I had left over. I believe it was this. Okay, so I love those little extra thingamajiggies. I don't even know what you want to call it, but little strips of paper. And I just wrapped it on both sides and then glued it on here with my art glitter glue. So right now it's looking super duper cute. I'm loving this. And now the next thing we're going to need is should need 4 solid colored cardstock, or you can use your pattern cardstock. It's up to you if you want to layer it or not. You know, I like layering, so this is going to be 3 3/4 by 4 1/8, and then you're going to score at 3 3/4. So you're going to need 4 of those. And then you're going to need 4 at 3 5/8 by 4 inches, and then you're going to score it, well, actually, here, let's go this way. You're going to score it at 3/8 an inch. Yep. And so you should have 4 of those. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut my pattern cardstock for these. And of course, I'm just going to do, if this one is 3 3/4, I'm going to do 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. So I'll need 8 of those. 2, 4, 6, yep. And then I'm going to need 8 at 3 1/2 by 3 1/2 to cover these. And then I'll be back for attaching it. I forgot to mention that we need 4 strips at 1 inch by 3 7/8 and go ahead and score it a 1/2 inch. I forgot to do my little hinges for the inside of my box. So go ahead and get those done and glue them on, and then we can proceed with the second part. Right now, I've just been making my pieces here that I want to go ahead and lay on top. I decided not to layer this part right here. So this is just going to be the same exact size. So at least I think so. Yeah, it will be. So I'll be back in just a minute after I put on my hinges and then glue these pieces on. Again, I said that you would need 8 squares at 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, if you want to do your magnets, you want to go ahead and add them to your centers now. I am going to use seed binding ribbon for mine that you'll get in your kit. Um, and I'm not sure if we're going to have, I know we're going to have navy, but it's either going to be navy and yellow or navy and pink. She's going to send it to me and I'm going to decide which one I think matches best. So anyway, I will be back shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all my little pieces on here all the way around and then go ahead, and I have already distressed inked these, so I'll go ahead and place those down too, and I'll be back. These are the ones that are 3 3/4 by 4 1/8, and then of course I scored it at 3 3/4. So I have 4 of those, and what I want to do is I want to go ahead and line these up. One of them I made a belly band, but the rest are pretty much you know, the same. So I'm going to go ahead and hopefully I can zoom in on this here. I want to leave a little gap so that when I close this, you know, or so when it closes, they don't fight with each other, okay? So I'm just going to center all of these and not exactly do it on the, obviously, the fold line, but just a tiny, tiny bit back, and I'll just continue to do that all the way around. Just make sure that these are aligned and not crooked like this, otherwise it won't close properly. So just as long as you do that, you should be pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first 2. And I think I'm actually going to turn this around. So I want to make sure that it's not crooked. Move it back a little bit. And that looks good. So we can go ahead and burnish it in. Then I'm just going to keep on going all the way around. Let me see, I might do this one right here. And then when I get to the next step, I'll be back. But I'm just going to go ahead and keep lining these up, trying to get them where they're not crooked at all. Make sure to clean up any of that excess glue. And then I'll be back with the next part. But I do know that I want to go ahead and make a strip that's a 1/4 inch of my leftover pieces so that I can go ahead and have them cover up anything. So actually no, make it a 1/2 inch. That way it's even further out in case you need to move it around a bit. So I will be back. Okay, so this pretty much ends the last part of the tutorial. All you have to do is add on your last 4 little pages, and then all I'm going to do is the same thing that I did before. I'm just going to leave about 1/8 of an inch, make sure it's lined up straight and centered so that it does not you know, look crooked. And that's it. And all I got to do is do my square for the center, which I'm going to get that right now. This should be about 3 and let's do 3.5 by 3.5, and then remove a 1/16 of an inch off 2 of the sides. And then I'll be back just to make sure that measurement is right. Okay, I was wrong. For your centerpiece, it's going to be 3 5/8 by 3 5/8, and that should be it. You can put whatever you want in the center. You can leave the center empty. I think I might put something in there, but I'll be back shortly to show you the finished project, and I hope you all like the tutorial. Hope you all have a wonderful and fabulous weekend. Thanks, y'all. Bye.